All right, let's add some additional steel to our structural framing model. So let's see. I'm going to open the structural model. So once you get your structural model open, we're going to take a look at the level 2 framing, and we're going to add some beams here to support the slab opening. So let's go ahead and go to structure and hit beam, and let's add this 12 by 26 on either side of the stair here. We'll go to this fourth beam over, so it'll span between these 3 bays. And actually, let's give it a negative 6-inch offset. So that'll be the same height as the rest of them. And we'll copy it to the other side. All right, once you get that in, let's move our sections so that they're cutting through here and through this other way. So if you've already got 2 sections, you can just move them over. So we can cut through here. Let's go to our view graphics, visibility graphics. We'll have to, if we created a view template in the previous video, you go to that and edit the model overrides, and it'll turn the floor back on. Let's make the transparency 100%. So we can see our floor again, but we can see through it. Let's double click on this floor boundary to open it, and let's delete these openings that we made previously, and let's use a shaft opening like we did on the in that last video for the elevator. I think that's a better way to go. So if on the structure tab, go to shaft. And we'll go from the interior gypsum board wall there to the dashed line underneath this stair here. And draw a profile around. We're going to start this at level 2 and negative 6 inches, and we're going to go to the roof with the stairs, since our stair does go through the roof, and give it a positive 1.5 inch offset for this shaft. It's just telling us that we've changed the slab from our copy monitor. In the structural plan, let's go to our view template and go to our Revit links, and just create that as make that underlay. So we'll make our architectural model kind of shaded. Let's go to this section that cuts through the long ways east to west. We'll split these screens in 2 so we can see them both. Just want to check out the slab edge. Let's go to the visibility graphics and do the same thing. Turn the Revit link to underlay. And so we're going to need to move the slab edge back a little bit. Just throw a dimension on there. It looks like I'll move the slab edge here back 1.25 inches to get to the end of that stair. So if you just grab that one detail line, move it back 1.25 inches, should be good. See, it's aligned with that edge. Now we have our dimension read 0. You can delete that now. And let's move our section over to the other part of the stair and see. And that looks good. It's right at the end of our stair. So let's select our other floors. So we can select our floor 3. We can actually edit the boundary in level 2 just to delete these guys. So let's delete the stairs here because we were going to use that shaft now. You can see it adjusts it, lets us know that the copy monitor is different. We're going to do the same thing with this level 4 and the roof level. And then the top, the roof level. And you just click back in. I usually just press down the middle mouse wheel button to get back into the other view so I don't inadvertently select something that I don't want to. And now our shaft is cutting there. Now we can just copy this shaft over and just mirror it along the middle point. So just either type MM or mirror by picking an axis, and we'll pick that middle grid. So just moving our section over to check it out. And I think it looks good. Let's move this side though back. At the wall side, an 1.25 inches for to accommodate the 2 layers of chipboard, or you can just align it with the face of the stud. We can do that all the way around on the other sides. So that way, so the chipboard can bypass that slab edge. And we'll do the same thing to the other side. And we may have to do this in the architectural model as well, just so we're matching our structural model. Alrighty, so we added these beams. We can look at this. Let's go back to this other section and bring it back over. So we'll add beams horizontally, and then we'll fix our beam system as well. So let's go ahead and right click on the beam that we created, the 12x26. Create similar. Give it a negative 0.6Z offset first, right here. And then we'll add it just a little bit behind the stair here. I'm going to use the trim extend command just to trim the beam back. And we'll copy this beam up. So in section, if we look, you can see our beam here. Let's throw a dimension on here. Let's make these beams 6 inches off of the edge of slab. That's a bit into the wall, which is actually fine, but let's move it back 8 inches. And that should be fine. And actually, so we have it 1'9" here, but you see the slab actually goes over a bit more, so let's go to this other side of the stair. Let's see. let's move this 6 inches from this edge here. So if you're looking at in plan view from this edge at the top of the stair, there is 6 inches. Check out the other side. We have 8 inches, and we'll look at this other section. We'll probably set it 8 inches on that side too. So right click on that section, hit go to view. I'm going to just click and hold and move this section over. Throw a dimension on here. And zoom in to try to get the center. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. All right, so now let's trim these up. I'm going to trim multiple. So I can pick one cutting edge, which is that center of that beam, and cut there. And then I'll pick it again and use this other center edge. Now the other thing I can do here, so if I take my section and I move it right at the beam, I can clean these up by hitting this cope button on the modify tab. And I'll select the beam here first. Oops, sorry, wrong way. I'm going to undo. I'm going to select the beam I want to cope first, and then select the beam I want it to cope with, and it automatically add the beam coping. I'm going to do it again here, and select the next beam. And I'll go down to the next one. And just cope these beams as well. As you can see, it recognizes the beams that it's being coped with. So here it only coped the top because this beam is deeper. I'm going to change the profile of this too, so that these beams don't stick past into this wall. So I edited the beam system boundary, and I'm just extending it to the center of these beams. I'm going to reset system just to make sure that it resets. Sometimes it doesn't. And it looks like it just it pulled everything back. Okay, so we got that one done. Let's copy these beams. And I'm going to Control C, or you can hit copy the clipboard and then paste to align to levels, and we'll pick 3, 4, and roof, because we already did level 2. So it added those there. I'm going to select these beams. And I'm going to go to level 3. Actually, let's do this. I'd like to use the 3D view when I can. So I'm going to open my 3D view here. I'm going to select the architecture model. I'm just going to hide and view by category, so I don't have to go into visibility graphics. I'm going to right click these floors, hide and view by category. And now I'm just going to get a top view in the 3D view of these beams, so I can just window over them. Use the filter, uncheck the shaft opening, hit OK. And you see we'll have to adjust the pattern here as well. So I can go back to level 2 with those selected. Mirror along the axis, MM for your keyboard command, or you can come up here to mirror, pick an axis, and then mirror those across. We do the same thing, edit this beam system. I'm going to just delete this one because I have this over here. Oh no, I don't, but that's okay. I'm just going to copy it from over here. And just paste it. And then we'll move it. And we'll just move it to center it on those beams again. I'm going to go to this 3D view. Now, if you still have things in groups, I think it's okay to ungroup them now. Might make little things a little easier. I'm going to delete these beam systems on the other floors instead of changing that profile. We'll do the same thing on this side. So you can Control C or copy the clipboard, paste the line to selected levels. We'll pick 3 through roof, and then don't forget to change the roof beam system to be -1.5 instead of -6. Okay, so let's go to let's move our section over to be on the elevator. We can go to our section at the elevator. And we'll add some beams here as well. Let's add these same ones. So right click, create similar, make sure there's a -6Z offset value. Okay, so now we've got the 2 beams here. Let's go to our section. Let's make this beam 1 foot away from this edge here. Let's see, what do I want to do here? I think I want to make this beam centered on this wall. Now this shaft wall will stop underneath the beam, and this beam will be fire rated, so it shouldn't be an issue. They'll likely use like a cementitious spray, which is like a concrete type spray. They'll spray all the beams to a certain thickness depending on the fire rating required. Anywhere from a ½ inch to 2 inches to 2.5 inches, kind of depends. So in the architecture model, we'll stop these walls beneath the beams. Alrighty, that looks good. Let's check this other way. Go to view. So right click and create similar here, and we'll just center this X beam on that wall. And again here. Alright, looks good. So let's edit this beam system. Let's do the rectangle for the boundary, and we'll do the center of this beam and the center of that beam all the way down here to the corner here. And hit OK. Oop, got to reset system, but it looks like it worked that time. So now I've got a nice little opening here. Alright, so the next thing we'll do is let's grab these beams now, and we'll mirror them across the middle. That grid 5 again. Let's come over to this beam system, and then add an opening here. Edit the boundary so that it's centered on these beams, and then hit OK. Alright, so now we've got beams around our elevator and our stairs so that we have support for that opening. Let's see. Just going to edit this beam system too and just reset system. As you can see, that beam didn't go away. That was cutting through the stair, which would be problematic for anybody trying to use a stair. So I think that's good for here, but the next thing I'll want to do is so at these slab edges at our perimeter and at all these openings, there'll be a bent plate. So there'll be a like typically 1/4 inch, ½ inch plate at the deck edge that will turn up 6 inches to kind of contain the concrete into this opening here. So when I was looking at the families, they don't have one that's like that, but that's not a big deal. We can create one. If you go up here to File, you click New, and then New Family. We'll create a new family. We'll do English Imperial. Scroll down to Structural Framing, and let's see. We'll do Beams and Braces, and Open. I think it typically opens like 4 windows. I can't remember. Or maybe it used to. Nope, looks like it just opened the one. So just the reference level. But let's go to the right view. Basically, we've started with a new beam family, and all it is just a rectangular extrusion where you can, it's already set up to act like a beam. So let's go to the right view. where we can get the side profile. And if we select this rectangle here, we can edit the extrusion, and we can actually just erase it, and we'll draw a new extrusion. So you can just get your line tool there, select on the left where this reference plane is, come over to the right to the other reference plane, and we'll go up 6 inches. We'll go over 0.25 inches or a quarter of an inch. Then we'll go down 5.75 inches. Come back to this reference plane and close. Let's do this fillet arc, and give this a radius at the end here. Oops. Let's give it a radius of, well, we'll just pick a point here anywhere. We could change it to quarter of an inch. And we'll make this one like, actually we'll delete that one. We'll offset. Clicking offset up here. And make that 0.25. And we'll make a copy of this radius. Let's try it this way. We'll make that a quarter inch radius on this interior radius. Offset that way. That works. And then you can trim the corner here. So let's grab these reference planes. Okay first. Actually, no, we'll go back in here. Let's select these reference planes, copy them over quarter of an inch. This one down here we don't need to be down there since we don't have a beam that's down there. So all we need is, so I'm going to throw a dimension on here from the level to that reference plane. So we have that thickness there. I'm going to hit align. I'm going to select this bottom reference and lock this reference plane to it. And same thing with these other ones. So we're going to go all the way around and lock the lines to the reference planes. Don't forget to get the ends, and I'll show you what we'll do from there. So once you get them all locked, you should be able to select the reference planes and see that they're all locked. The little arrows show where they're locked to. And so now we can take this quarter of an inch, come up here to the modify tab, and where it says create parameter, we'll select that. And we'll just call this parameter thickness. And we can leave it grouped under dimensions. Hit OK. And then all we have to do is select the second dimension down here and change it to thickness. So now if we come in here and select this thickness, so if we wanted maybe a half-inch plate, oops, not a 6-inch plate, it'll change the thickness of this plate. All right, so now we can exit out of here. One more thing before we go. I'm going to delete this reference plane. I'm going to move this reference plane over. I'm going to move all of this over. Because I want this center to be the face of this the face of this angle that we're making here. And then we'll type DI or hit dimension, and we'll go ahead and lock these. Change that to thickness. Typically, I almost always check them to make sure. Yep, looks like it's all working fine. Yeah, it looks good. You can see when I move the reference plane, the magenta lines follow it. All right, I'm going to create a reference plane out here. Wait a minute. I want a reference line. Wait. A reference plane. Sorry. I'm going to line. Oh, yeah, because I've got a reference plane in here. We don't really. I kind of like. So the thickness dimensions, I don't mind keeping in here. Inside of the extrusion outline. But these others I want to keep outside so I can see them easily when I'm editing. I'm just going to align these ends to these reference planes. Type dimension. And throw these dimensions on here. So then here I can make this. I'm going to make this default 1 foot back. And I'm going to make this default 6 inches. And then we'll select this dimension again. We're going to create parameter. I'm going to call this one length. Oh, we can't do length. We'll call it width. And we'll call this one height. So now if you go to your Create tab, and up here where it says Family Types, you can select that. It's all the way on the left. And you can see the parameters that we've created in here. And so we can use these to create our bent plate for our deck. I'm going to save this. I'm going to save it to my typical Revit location where I have my local families. I'm going to right click and create a new folder. I'm going to call this structural framing. And we'll call this bent plate. Now we can load into the project. And we can now, should be able to, I'm going to give this a negative 6-inch offset, Z offset, and we'll draw this bent plate around our opening here. I'm going to throw a section on to see how it looks. Actually, it looks like we just need a 0 offset. Because we want this bent plate here. And you see where the bent plate will end the slab here. And so let's go to edit this family one more time. So I'm going to edit type, or edit family. And all we're going to do here is I'm going to change in the family types, I'm going to change the width by editing it with this little pencil. I'm making it an instance parameter instead of a type parameter. And then I'm going to load and close and save. What that does is it makes it so that this family is not this. I can change this depth here. So I'm going to make it so that it's into the beam. And I don't have to like change it on every time. And what I mean by that is right now, if I were to edit type, that width is gone because that can be different. That is now a type, a instance parameter. So every instance can be different. You can see now here the width is down here. So if I select this one, its width is 1'7¼ feet. I'm going to extend this. Let's see, I'm going to make this end cut back to 0. I'm also going to align this end of this bent plate to the center here. I'm going to right click on this one and create similar. Oh, and before I think, so this bent plate is going the wrong way, so I'm just going to flip it. And change this cut back to 0. I'm going to mirror this bent plate over to the other side. You can see the bent plate intersection here. That other section isn't showing up, but I think it's a graphical issue. You can see it highlighted here. Let me make sure, though. Let's go to visibility graphics. Oh, it's set to underlay. Let's just close section 2. And I'm going to open it again and see. Whoa. So I'm not sure why it's not showing up there, but I think it's just like I said, a graphic issue. Let's move this section cut down a little bit. And it shows up again, so it's one of those stupid Revit things. I'm just going to copy this bent plate over here. Trim extend. And I can align this bent plate to the center here. I'll hit BM for another beam, which is that bent plate at level 0. I'm going to right click and just say disallow join so that beam doesn't try to join with that other beam. And I think actually when we're creating these beams, we can tell it to not join. Trim extend here. Oh, actually I want these two to overlap. And we'll trim extend again. And we can select these bent plates that we just made and put around the edge here. Before we do that, let's make sure they're not gonna, we have them joined correctly. Let's take a look at the 3D view. Just got a window over these, this stair framing, and do this selection box so we can get just a nice tight view on here. We can see our bent plates here. Actually, what we'll do, I think I already disallowed join on some of these, but that's okay. I'm going to come up here to the modify where it says beam and column joins. Let's see if we can't join any of these better. So it doesn't look like it's going to let us use that beam and column join tool. So I think what we have is fine. But I'm going to trim extend and I'm going to just trim extend all these bent plates to the face here. Dang it. No, I think that's fine. No reality though, this lip won't extend past this other lip. It will stop. And that's fine. Let's just grab all these. Control C. Actually, before we do Control C, let's mirror them. Let's mirror across the axis, pick level 5, that grid 5 again. Yep, we mirrored them over to this side. Let's add the beams here at this elevator as well. So let's make it a chain. And draw this bent plate around here. So I put them on the wrong side. That's okay. Just hit this little open arrow here to flip them across to the other side. Actually, I think we can. Hold on. I think we can just trim these to the face of each other. I want to do that. I think it'll look cleaner. It'll be more accurate. Let's go around the corner and just trim the bent plate so that it doesn't extend past the other bent plate. So it just creates a nice little well here. Because I really think what will happen is, I mean, because there'll be corrugated deck over the top of these, then they'll pour the concrete over the top of the metal deck, and they don't really need these bent plates to extend into there like I had them shown. These two can overlap because they'll have to. So let's go over here and do the same thing. Trim, extend again. Try to get that face. There we go. All right, I think that'll be good. So I'm gonna select all of these now. Actually, one more thing before we do that. So let's flip these ones, or mirror these ones. Sorry. And let's see, what else should we do before we go? So let's add a bent plate to the exterior before we leave here. So type a big old BM or come up to structural tab and do the beam. And we'll pick, I think if we go, I'm just going to pick here. We must go clockwise if we want the bent plate to be on the right side. Yep. All right. So let's start by clicking beam, and we'll go clockwise around the entire perimeter here. And finish here. I'm going to select all of these, and I'm going to throw a dimension on here. let's see, where from the face of here to the center is 1 foot. So that'll work good. So let's select this chain of beams. You'll be able to hit tab and select all of them if you selected chain when we did these beams. And for the width, we're going to choose 1 foot, and it'll put it to the center of that beam. Now I'm going to right click and select all instances visible in view, which should select all of these bent plates that we did. Give it a Control C, or make sure, copy the clipboard, paste, align to selected levels. We'll want 3 through roof. Hit OK. And we can, let's come over to our 3D view. We made it select around these elements, but we can redo the crop just by selecting this entire floor and then hitting the selection box tool, so we can get our selection box around the entire structure. I'm just stretching it out a bit so we can see everything. And we can see we got our bent plates copied to all the levels. So the last thing we'll do is I'm going to select this chain of bent plate at the roof. I'm going to see if that, I wonder if we had to do, yeah, see, there we go. See these little arrows? I want it to miter. Yeah, it doesn't want me to miter. That's fine. Really, these bent plates will want to overlap the corner. Ideally, they would miter, but I'm not going to worry about it. We'll just leave it. Oh, but at the roof, we want to select them at the roof because we're going to change the type of these ones. So select all the ones at the roof, because as we know, our roof deck is not 6 inches at the roof. And we actually don't need these ones here at the elevator, since that doesn't come all the way through. Yeah, I think that's good. Alrighty, so we'll go to Edit Type. Let's rename this one to 1/4 inch by 6 inch bent plate. That will be the thickness and the height. And then duplicate. And then we'll call this one 1/4 inch by 1.5 inch bent plate. Because at the roof we only have an 1.5 inch deck. So, and we can delete this one at the bent plates for the elevator at the roof. Our structure's coming together. Just move this section so it's cutting through the roof of the stair. Go to view. Excuse me. And check out our bent plate. So now we got our bent plate at the entire perimeter. And the roof will just be a 1/2 inch bent plate. And that'll help support that deck edge. Alrighty. Actually, I think that's it for this video. Actually, you know what? Let's also do one more thing here. While we're at it, let's grab all of our columns on level 1. So window over in your 3D view, check none, and then select structural columns. Let's make our columns -1 foot from, do 1 foot, yeah, -1 foot from level 1. And we'll go to structural tab, and we'll do this structural rectangular footing. Let's edit this type first. Let's make them 4 foot by 4 foot by 2 foot deep. And we can select, hold on, hit escape. Let's move this section cut down. And actually, let's create a new plan. Structural plan, level 1. I'm going to make this slab transparent. So I'm going to go to View, Visibility Graphics, Floor Override, the transparency to 100% transparent, hit OK. I'll go back to Structure, Isolated, and let's see, I'm going to give it a -1 foot. And let's start at this bottom corner so we can check it out. And now we got our footing here at the bottom of this beam. Let's see. I think the next thing we want to do, I want to put a base plate on here as well, and then let's just copy them all around as a group. Let's do a component. See if they already have a base plate. Doesn't look like it. Let's load family. Let's go to our Imperial library. Structural columns. Steel. Oops. I don't want structural columns, sorry. Structural connections. No. Let's see. They may have they may have moved these to this Autodesk family. So let's try this. So I want a 4-hole base plate, but I want this one here. So this column plate 4-hole base plate here. It's the one with the 4 holes at the corners instead of the 4 holes on the sides. Like this one with 3D view. We'll load that. Now we can go back to structure component. And we'll pick this plate. I'll change the view graphics so I can see this plate. I'm sorry, the view range. -4, so we should be seeing it. I'm going to check. So this is on structural connections. I'm going to make sure structural connections is turned on the visibility graphics. It is. We change. Or is just 100%? Changing that to a 1/2-inch base plate. I'm going to, when I go edit family, I'm just going to make sure that it is visible in plan view, which I don't see why it wouldn't be, but I'm going to check the visibility graphics overrides. Should be visible. Just going to close that. So let's go back into this view. I'm going to turn the floors off. Should be able to see through them. Oh, I know why. Duh. So what we need to do is go to view visibility graphics, make the architectural model transparent or underlay, so that now we can see the base plate. So I made it a 1/2-inch 4-hole base plate. I'm going to grab the center of it, move it to the center of the column, and I'm just going to check the dimension of this, overall dimension of this column. Is 1 foot 2 by 10. So let's make this base plate let's make it 1 foot 2 by 1 foot 8. I want to make these bolt holes like 1.5 inches off of the edge of this plate. Oops. Does not have the center of this bolt hole. Nope, I do. So let's see. Don't know why the dimensions are weird here. I think my brain is just off. So let's make this base plate. As you can see, I was kind of messing around with the dimensions to try to get it. I made this base plate a 1/2 inch full hole base plate with a 11 inch. We'll change the width and the length to 1'2" for width, 1'8", 3/4 inch hole diameter, and 11 inch vertical hole spacing and 1'5" horizontal hole spacing. Now let's just make this mess a group. Oh, before we do that, let's grab these columns again. Let's grab these columns again, using the filter to just select the columns. And since our base plate is a 1/2 inch thick, we'll make all these columns um, uh, we'll make them a 1/2 inch smaller. Now, I think what this did is it um, made this footing attached to the bottom, so it moved with the column. Let's try to make this -1 foot so that our base plate is now underneath. So I'm going to try to make this a group again. And just hit OK. Actually, let's ungroup that. Just don't group that if you haven't done it yet. Let's just copy it around. I like groups in some instances, but it seems like there's a lot of times where it doesn't like to have certain elements copied into it. So maybe if we'd have made this column, base plate, and footing all part of the group, then I think it'd have been good, but let's just leave it the way it is and just copy it around. Just make sure you have both elements. Copy, yep, multiple. And I'm just going to copy these down. And let's just copy these up now in the center of the grid. We can get these footings on all the columns here. All right, next thing before we're done, don't worry, we should be done here pretty soon. Let's go turn our floors back on. And I'm going to also add the thickened slab edge to these. Let's go to structure, slab, floor slab, edge. I'm just going to leave the 24 by 12 inch. Let's see. Go to the sections to check it out here. I'm going to move these footings down just to be a little bit lower. I'll move these footings down another foot. Or actually, I'll move them down right now. They're -1 foot. But let's make them -1 foot 6 to accommodate the slab. That's actually what we need to do. Right click, select all instances visible in view. -1 foot 6. Our base plate should follow. But we'll have to also get the columns. So I'm going to right click on these columns, select all instances visible in view. I'm going to 3D view to make sure it did that. Yep, it looks like it just selected the level 1 columns. And then I'll give this another 6 inches so I can make this 17.5 inches below. And let's go back to our structure slab. And let's pan down so we can see the bottom of the slab. Hit tab to get the whole entire edge, and it'll add this entire thickened slab around our entire perimeter here. And so I think that'll be good. So that was just kind of cleaning up our structural model, getting the beams in place of our openings and bent plates, adding some footings and base plates. So we created one family, and yeah, I think it'll be good for this video. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks.